I am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Nick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right. Good afternoon, people. This is not going to be long enough, but it's going to be good. So, just get right into it. We're going to dive right into it, right? So, you know that there was a press conference today at the Jamaica Football Federation dealing with, you know, the just covering what happened at the GFF last year, what is going to happen for the year that is ahead of us, which is 2024. So we have that. I want to just get right into it. I want to play it. It's not a very long presser. Couple of questions were asked. But Mr. Chung spoke, Roy Simpson spoke, John Wall spoke, Simon Preston spoke. All right. So I want to play that for you, and then at the end of it, we can have a brief discussion on the matter. All right. So I just want you to take some time and listen, just listen to what is being said, and then we can go through our thoughts and reaction to it at the end of it all. But before I actually, get into that as well, I want to implore you to do a couple of things for me. One is to hit the like button. If you have not done so yet, we're just starting. We have around 37 people, 38 persons watching, and we have like one like. All right, so if you could just go and start hitting the like button. If you're watching and you have not yet subscribed to I Am Sure Sports, please take some time out, go ahead and do that. All right. While I want to press, I also want to give thanks to life. It's just my nature to always be grateful that I'm alive and well, and that I'm here. Also want to encourage us to continue to pray for Alan Skill Cole, who is on the path to recovery. Legendary Jamaican footballer, had some health issues, but to God be the glory. We heard that he is doing well. All right. So also want to congratulate Clarendon College on lifting the Olivier Shield, defeating Mona High by 4-0. Congratulate Mona as well in like 3 years since Craig Butler has been there, they have made a final, I think semifinals, a final, and they have won a final. So that's a tremendous, 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 tremendous work. But a lot of applaud must be given to Coach Lenworth, Hyde, Bradford. I mean, just the years of success that he has had at Clarendon College. So kudos and big up to him. Like I said, we're going to get into this press conference, and I want you to listen to it, and then at the end of it, we can talk, all right, and discuss what is going on as well. And as you listen, if you have questions, just put them in the comment section, and maybe we can pause and then take some of those questions. All right. So, firstly, I'm going to start it now, and you can tell me if you hear it.
Recap, take any questions on what happened with 2023, and we're also going to tell you about what our activities are upcoming for 2024, because we've started the planning for them. Right now, also, we're on a sort of hiatus because, as Earl said, it has been an extremely busy year. In September, we had 3 games. In October, we had 2 games. And we had 2 games in November. And anyone who knows what it takes to plan a game knows that it takes a lot of time, effort, and resources, because you're talking about moving over 30 people from all over the world and accommodating them. And then when you have a game in Jamaica, you're talking about the planning that has to go into the matches. So I'd first start by saying that we're grateful, certainly, for the activity that has happened. We're grateful also that we really have not had any incidents in the year. We had 1 or 2 hiccups when it relates to the visa process, but it really didn't cause any major dislocation. The first one had to do with the UK incident, where the staff was late in getting their visas because of the move of the processing from Jamaica to New York. And then we had the incident with the U15s it was, going to Sweden. But outside of that, I think we've had a fairly successful year administratively. And when you think about the fact that we had so many events during the year, it was really good, that we were able to manage through it. And therefore, my commendations to the staff, because I know the amount of work that they go through to put an event on or to mobilize a team. It is significant. I would have given you, for example, the amount of money that we spent on taking the women to the World Cup between November last year and the World Cup. It was about $2 million that was spent through the JFF, which is quite a bit of money. And we have to manage all of that. So the other thing that initially was a challenge for us is the whole thing of the administration of the accounting, because as you know, the JFF has been under restricted funding for a while. But I'm happy to say that based on how we've closed out the year and our interactions with FIFA, who we had invited to come here in November, which was a great meeting we had, I think we're in a much better place. We would have gotten during the year a tax compliance certificate, which many companies in Jamaica does not have one, and certainly the JFF has one. Well, in excess of 10 years, there's never been one. So we were pretty successful in that from an administrative point of view. And we have been managing very well in terms of internally, certainly better than last year in terms of, the demands on the organization. So I think we've done a fairly decent job from that perspective. 2023 was one of sort of bringing all the chips together, ensuring that, we have the right capacity in place, ensuring that we're as productive as possible, given the circumstances, We also did a lot of work at the center, and we were able, based on the work that was done in the center, to host some national teams there. So the Trinidad team, national men's team was there, the Ghana national men's team was there, and we were able to also rent out the facility. So we will at some point in time ask the media to come and look at it. It's now well renovated. Everybody loves it. We actually have persons having a lot of interest in it right now. We have the Captain Andre Blake having a goalkeepers clinic up there, which is going to be today and tomorrow. And we've been able to host several local clubs there also. So we're doing a lot of work on that. There's a lot of development work that's going to happen on that in the future. But certainly from an internal point of view, I think we've done well in terms of what we wanted to accomplish. We haven't got everything that we wanted, but I'd say most things in terms of the administrative milestones we're able to achieve. And as I said, one of the big ones for us was getting a tax compliance certificate in place, which, as I said, not many companies in Jamaica can boast that. In addition to that, we also had a women's department set up, and we'll discuss more on that towards the latter part of the year, because one of the things that we believe in is local development for the women's game and the men's game. And therefore, we've set up a women's department, which is headed by Margaret Sutherland. And you're going to see a lot more activity around that, because we have a lot of plans that we're already putting in place for the development of women's football in Jamaica. Because certainly Jamaica has been very successful in women's football. We went to the World Cup and got to the round of 16. And we just recently completed the World Cup qualifiers. Unfortunately, we were not able to make it, but the girls who played did put up a very good performance, and that is something that everyone agrees with. So we think that, looking at that, the amount of talent we were able to unearth for the women's World Cup qualifiers, it just shows the amount of talent that's available in Jamaica. We currently know we have about 50 or more core set of players on the female side that we can call upon at any time. And we're hoping that by the towards the end of this year, certainly we'll have resolved the other issues that have plagued us with the team, or I should say the players who were at the World Cup. We want to resolve that issue and ensure that everyone is available. So we put a women's department in place. We also had hired someone new in the department for travel and projects. And he is here with us now, Stephen. And, he has been doing a great job so far. But one of the things that we recognize is that we need to place a lot of emphasis on the management of the travel situation, because they're a large expenditure, and it's also a very time-consuming activity. So we actually have someone who's working very closely on that, and we are putting a lot of things in place for 2024 on that. So from an administrative point of view, we're good. In terms of 2023, we had quite a number of successes in relation to the teams, and I'll ask Simon in a short while to address those things. But certainly, the under-17 tournament we're at for the boys was very good. We had the under-20 play also, the women, the under-14 women, the under-15 men, boys playing a tournament. On the youth side, it was a very successful year for the youth component. And then we had the Women World Cup, as I mentioned, and the Women Gold Cup qualifiers. Certainly on the Olympic qualifiers also, which we didn't make the Olympic qualifiers also, but we did play in that. And we had the men doing very well, extremely well. qualifying for the semifinals for the Nation League first time, and also making it to Copa America. So we have a lot of things to look forward to for next year. We had also a FIFA coaches program in Jamaica, and a FIFA referees program in Jamaica was hosted in Jamaica, which shows the importance and the attractiveness of Jamaica for not just football, but also the administrative side of it. And coming out of the coaches program this year, we've had Mr. Rudolph Speed qualify as the first A license in the Caribbean, right, which is a significant accomplishment. And this shows the emphasis that JFF has on development, because development is not just about letting people play football, but we have to put the infrastructure in place. So we're doing the work on the center and developing that into a much more attractive facility with a lot more functionality, because we're doing some work on the field also, which John can speak to. But we now have a good cadre of coaches qualified, certainly at the B license stage and the C license stage, and we're looking to move some over to the A license stage. I mean, that says a lot for us, because the more coaches that we can get at the A license stage and the B license, is the better the capacity building that we can employ in the local leagues, because local development is very, very important for us. And John will speak about talent development scheme that we're also putting in place. And certainly on the referee side, we've done a lot in terms of the training for referees. There's constant training that's going on. We just recently had a ceremony to induct 50 new referees into the program. And we've had some of our referees certainly go away and do some international games. So that is what we have coming up. I mean, of course, you know that towards the end of the year, a lot has been said around the whole election process, which is not really us, but we still have to manage that. And that's coming up in January 2014. So I'll ask Simon to speak to the accomplishments, some of the signal accomplishments we've had in 2023 on the football side. And what are some of the things we've achieved for the first time, historic achievements in 2023?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chung. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Just to touch briefly on those elements that Mr. Chung highlighted, we started the calendar year, I'll start with ladies first, started the calendar year ranked 44th in the world, now 37th, and that is our highest ever ranking for women. And we certainly hope to expand on that heading into the new year. And on the men's side of things, senior men, we started the calendar year 64th in the world, now ranked 55th. So both strides by national teams in this 12-month calendar. And the national teams that took the field this calendar year, strides have been made and improvements compared to previous participations in tournaments. We can start with our under-15 boys, first time getting out of the group stage, first time getting to a quarterfinal, and eventually finishing fourth. And this was the first time since 2013 even winning a game at a tournament. So our under-15 boys in the Dominican Republic making strides there. We can even look at our senior women as well that Mr. Chung touched on, finishing 13th in the world and the World Cup itself, and the first Caribbean team in 85 years to actually go on to a round of 16 of a World Cup, which is truly remarkable as well, bearing in mind the Caribbean team that have been at a FIFA showpiece as well. Senior men getting to a semi-finals of the Gold Cup for the first time in 4 years, that would have been 2019, and of course for the first time in history as well, getting to the semi-finals of the Nations League. So all of this bodes well, leading for a busy 2024, which I'll speak on later on in the press conference. But just wanted to highlight some of these elements and show that all of our national teams have made significant growth, and sometimes for the first time achieving things like our under-20 girls defeating a Central American team for the first time since 2020. So we're very proud of all our national teams, and we look forward to further growth and progress leading into 2024.
Yeah, so maybe Simon should just go into 2024.
Let's continue.
So based on the schedule that we have for 2024, but potentially we're looking at a scenario where every month can be utilized in terms of activity. So I encourage you all to go go on JFF Live on YouTube and watch the interview with Coach Halbertson, where he stressed on the importance of domestic camps into the new year. And he spoke about this will be a priority in that January, February timeframe. But later on, John will talk about the under-20s and the preparation as the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship qualifiers will take place. Jamaica's group will be in St. Kitts and Nevis in Basseterre. All games at the St. Kitts and Nevis Technical Center. We are in a group with Martinique, Grenada, and Bermuda. So we open the campaign on February 24 against Martinique, and then 2 days later host Grenada, and then on the 28th take on Bermuda. And it will only be the group winner that advances to the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship final round. CONCACAF in due course will announce the dates for the final round itself. March, that's when the senior men will be back in action. The CONCACAF Nations League finals in Arlington, Texas, Dallas to be specific. March 21, we take on the United States in the semifinals. And 3 days later, March 24, will be the final or third place playoff. So regardless of what happens in the semifinal, there will be another match. So at least 2 matches in that window will take center stage. And 2024 on the women's side of things, I might add as well, is an opportunity as well to get the pieces together for World Cup qualifiers, because 2025 is the starting point for the women in relation to World Cup qualifiers for the 2027 tournament. So 2024 is a great opportunity with 5 FIFA windows for women to be utilized for friendly internationals or arrange tri-nation or quad-nation series to be able to get match practice and sharpness ahead of the qualifiers. So the women will have international windows in April, May, November, and also December as well in terms of those international windows. October is also another window as well for the women to be active as well. And certainly work will be done to ensure that they will be active and also sharp ahead of the qualifiers that lie ahead from 2025. For the men as well, let me go into what June will be. And it will be, you could say, a double treat as the World Cup qualifiers take center stage. And that is in the window of June 3 to 11. And of course, the Copa America, June 20 to July 14. I know many persons have asked in relation to the World Cup qualifiers, in relation to the groups. So CONCACAF will reveal at the end of January a draw. They will have a draw in relation to the groups for the qualifiers, and of course details in relation to who will be in Jamaica's group, what match will be home, what match will be away. So wait the governing body in the region for further information there. And finally, the September, October, and November windows for men, that will be the restart of the next edition of the CONCACAF Nations League. So similar to 2023, the year we've had, 2024, we can look forward to another enticing and also comprehensive calendar year of international football as well. So we look forward to everybody singing from the same hymn sheet, media, staff, administration, as we're 2 wins away from a trophy, that is the CONCACAF Nations League. We commence World Cup qualifying, and of course we'll be participating in one of the biggest international tournaments in the world in the Copa America. So we look forward to the support from everybody all across Jamaica and the diaspora as well, so that we can continue the strides and progress that lies ahead.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Let me just add that on the women's side, certainly we're going to be putting some work into the Women's Premier League, Tier 2, and the youth program, right, Margaret? Right, in terms of development. But one of the things we're looking at doing is having a 4-nation tournament next summer in Jamaica. We're trying to work towards that for the women. So we're looking at those plans and seeing who we can bring and where it will be. Certainly, for me, the city of Montego Bay is very attractive, and we're hoping that St. Catherine Complex will be ready for them. But that is one of the other plans we have. And I know John wants to delve further into the U20, and we'll ask Roy to also speak to on the men's side also.
All right, so we can go straight to John. But before you get there, a couple of things still out for me. Congratulations are in order for Mr. Speed. I remember when most coaches in Jamaica, even the head coach was a coach that just walk around a whistle. Even the head coach in Jamaica would just walk around with a whistle without much qualification. So therefore, we are talking about the head coach of the national team without much qualification. So now we have club coaches with an A license that is significant. The 50 referees that came through the system, significant as well, simply because over the years we have seen a dwindling of the numbers when it comes to referees. There were at one stage almost 500 referees, and then a couple of years ago there was about 280. So just tell you, so now the referees are going back up there again. And the third thing that Mr. Chung spoke about would have been the election. And I learned that some years ago here. He said that we're not a part of it, yeah. I was told that you're like a civil servant. You just be here, see what's going on. If you're asked to do something, you do it, but you don't get involved, because whoever wins, you have to turn up and work at the Monday morning next after 3. Everybody gone every weekend, you have to turn up on Monday morning, whether it be X or Y, you have to be there. All right, so let's get straight into it now, Mr. John Wall. Of course, we have the big youth tournament coming up in February. Mr. Wall.
Thank you. It's been a process ever since March, on a monthly basis, 2 days a month, an exception for July, and an exception for September, October, November, because then everyone kind of knows what Jamaica is all about. It's pretty hard to get access to the players. We had 2 days of training and 1 scrimmage against Portmore as of yesterday. I want to use the time to actually express my gratitude towards Portmore. The fact that they showed up and made it pretty interesting to review players. Sorry about that. And it's an interesting process of trying to mitigate and review as many players as possible. Meaning we're close to 70, I would say even 80 players reviewed so far, ever since March. And fair to say that's a pretty even number. Moving on, what we're looking at is in January to play a double friendly, where my intention is to utilize players from Jamaica and North America. And furthermore, heading into February, prior to the qualifiers, being on a camp, playing and added 2 more friendlies that are of a higher or even more interesting level. So we would be prepared for the qualifiers. And that's meaning then we will be able to utilize more of a bigger pool of players. So for me, it's been a gradual thing, trying to utilize as many people as possible. And the fact that, speaking of that, is that we have assessed, we have reviewed, we have scouted, and actually done the due diligence prior to all of this. And I think, but yet again, I would need to stress I am human, meaning eventually on the selection day, there will be 1 or 2 players that might have been there, and that's fine. But what I'm interested in is the long haul, how these players can become first-team players for Jamaica.
All right, sir. So over the next couple of days, is there a camp, or is there anything happening with them? We are on the fence now.
We were just in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we go. You know how the day is for most people. So, by the way, we're not bypassing you, Roy. If it's able to say hello, as Mr. Of course, Roy is the team's general manager.
I think that Simon has said that we had a very successful year this year, and we all look forward to 2024. It just shows what is possible and what we can achieve working together. I think in football we need to look at the 3 pillars: administrative, technical, and the political. And if we get those three pillars from the same foundation, I think we can create waves. I just came back from the Copa America draw. I know they welcomed us. I know they appreciate us qualifying and participating, it just shows how big a brand Jamaica is. We know how the football is, but for 2024, and as we look forward to United 2026, and the opportunity that we have to qualify for that World Cup, is just how, as a federation, as a country, and as we play football for the people, is how we get everybody on the same platform that we can all achieve our unified goals.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we get to question and answers, I've been in football a long time, and I can recall when we used to get 5 love and 4 love and 6 love from teams in Central America, and looking to get to the semi-finals and even the final and winning the Nations League would have been way in the back of your mind. Forget about that. I also remember when maybe 1 or 2 games were played in Jamaica per year as an international game. There were years when no international game were played in Jamaica, and now we have multiple games being played over a short period. I mean, this year probably about, I would say, at least 10, 12 games were played overall. So, and probably even more than that. So it's a significant shift from what used to what we have now. All right. Any questions from the media? Who is that? Oh, my good friend Roger, IRFM.
Yeah, good morning. Roger Haskell here. I have a question for Mr. Chung and Mr. Wall.
Hold on, Roger. We're going to give you a mic because we're going to post this on YouTube so people can actually listen to the quality of the question and the quality of the answer, right?
Yes, good morning again. I have 2 questions, one for Mr. Chung and one for Mr. Wall. Mr. Wall, could you elaborate on how you got by finding players for this Honor 20 process? I mean, what was the sitting out process like? How you come about identifying the players for the particular areas on the field and so on, and how far are you in terms of getting that team that will be participating in the CONCACAF tournaments?
It's kind of a collaborative effort. Also, it's not just me alone. Main benchmarks, if you look at it globally, is that I've used when in discussions with the technical committee and everyone, is that I've used Denmark and Uruguay as kind of a benchmark, pretty close in terms of how size of the nation. Denmark's U21 had, and I'm taking 2 highest leagues that I'm coming to, has by October 2023, 21,885 senior professional minutes and a squad market value of 29 million euros. Uruguay, who won the U20 World Cup, 18,000 plus, this is by October, and a squad value of 28 million euros. How close is Jamaica to that on a global scale? Meaning, for me, I have to look at senior professional minutes first. And looking domestically, it's a semi-professional league in JPL. So that's the closest we can get. Globally, how close are the players to actually play senior professional football? The margin now, globally, is that players are getting younger and younger. Because they're better educated, they're kind of in a way pre-selected too. Domestically, you're looking at age groups that were probably hit the most by COVID. Did not play too much at all. So it's been a race to the bottom, depletion of the domestic. That's my observation. And yet again, you have to look at where can we access the players. So I've been trying to look at senior professional minutes as a thing. See them in our environment. Unfortunately, I cannot relate to schoolboy football, converting that to global football. I cannot. It's a different game. So for me, I have to look at how we can recreate it in our environment. and therefore trying to access it in all zones as possible. And that is done through scouts and others assess the players. Globally, we're already pretty much fully operative on people who are voluntarily scouting for us and looking at scout reports. So I'm pretty close to actually delivering the 60-man squad. That will be the provisional list sent to CONCACAF. And from that point, that's going to be the player select.
Among that 60, you spoke about schoolboy football. Are there schoolboy, local schoolboy football?
Oh, we do love that thing, right? Because we like to blow their own drum. Yes, there will be some players, but there are more anomalies coming directly from schoolboy football. I'm sorry to say that.
Anomalies, you can elaborate.
An anomaly is a player that potentially go from schoolboy football and directly into the international game. That's an anomaly. That's not your standard. Sorry to say, but that's how far it's gone. We're looking at players who are training very short amount of time and have very few competitive months on the global scale. I'm just delivering facts. Sorry, it's not an opinion. Sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Chung, of course, everybody have their opinions in regards to the Reading Girls and the JFF. We know that you had a meeting last week. Prior to the meeting, there were some players coming out of the media again having an issue, and we all know that. But what I would like to ask you, can you elaborate on how that meeting went with the players, the fifth row representatives, and what's the way forward now in terms of everybody on the same page, and what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, we had a meeting on last Friday to discuss primarily the issue of payment, because there was a statement made that no payments had still been made to some persons, which we didn't support that. And we know that we had sent off all the payments to all the players, and we sent the details to them on Monday, but we haven't heard back anything yet in terms of that. We haven't gotten any names as to who is it that would not have received it. We're not saying that people might not have received it. What we are saying is that we know that we've sent it off, and it left our bank account, and we left our bank to the correspondent bank or the receiving bank. So if there's an issue with the bank who has received it and what has gone into their account, then we can assist with that in terms of providing the reference numbers for them to check out. But we haven't received any such requests yet from them. So we're await that. In terms of going forward, we were asked to have another meeting, which we're waiting on them to get back to us. We are willing to meet at any time, certainly this week. We told them that if it doesn't happen this week, then I can't guarantee that it will be before the new year, given the season and the fact that people have a lot of things to do. I know people are traveling, for example, from this weekend, so it's difficult. So we're hoping that we'll have a meeting by the end of the week and deal with any other feedback. But certainly there was a lot of clarity provided to everything that was discussed. And as I said, the main thing was the payment issue, and we have confirmed that we have made all the payments that are due.
Did you address why the girls were angry to the point that all of them who played in the World Cup made themselves unavailable for the Gold Cup qualifiers?
Well, the letter that was sent initially did state it, it stated 3 reasons. Number 1, the payment issue, which that was resolved with the assistance of FIFA, who came in and said, hey, this is the balance of money. Number 2 was that the letter indicated that they wanted to be available. They wanted to have the name of the staffing, the technical staff.
and also that they wanted to speak about travel. In terms of travel, all of that is done according to contract, and we have not gone below the contract. In terms of the staffing, the response was that we can't see the reason for having to issue names before, but we had indicated that all staffing would be available.
Yeah, but in terms of them being angry to the point of not representing the country at this point, have you guys
I haven't.
dug deep in and
We
looked
have. We
into that?
haven't got any feedback on that. We haven't got any feedback on that. I just suspect that is the issues that were outlined. I mean, that was what was presented, so that's all we can go by. We can't go by anything more than that.
Thank you very much, Raja. Let's all right, so introduce yourself and your media host.
Morning. Mohini Day, Dre Anywhere the Sports, based in South Florida, Palm Beach. I have a question, just one each, for the gentlemen. Probably I'll begin with Coach Wall. Coach Wall, you've outlined a very detailed process of recruitment. You've spoken about some stark realities in terms of your benchmarking. However, my part A, part B question is, one, we seem to have fallen into the same deja vu as the last under 20, where you had a game scheduled for the players who may be eligible based in the United Kingdom and Europe, and that fell through. I didn't hear in your plans. We were told that game would be possibly in the January window when you had it rescheduled. I didn't hear that in your plans. If you could tell us about that, that's one. And secondly, you spoke about the scouting, etc., of local domestic players and those in North America who would be part of your friendly. I want to ask specifically the four that I know of eligible players who would be in the Premier League first squads, and the two that are starters in the championship. Have any direct contact been made with them? Have they accepted or rejected Jamaica's offers?
All right, we start with the Madrid camp supposed to be. I'm actually proud that we, as JFF, and we mainly, that we pulled out of that, mainly because of following reasons. One, there was a spike of the flu in Madrid. And you know what the flu is? Another word for that? COVID. Meaning, there was depletion of squads, the opponents that were supposed to play. Number two, we were not given the actual place where we're supposed to be at the La Liga complex in Madrid. We were supposed to be an hour and a half outside of it. And with the uncertainty of opponents, I don't want to create a shit show. Meaning, I pulled out, and the intention was to utilize the FIFA window. And best to my knowledge, January is not a FIFA window, correct?
Correct.
Yes, that's actually March 18th to the 26th. So what we will do, and the intention is to start driving FIFA windows for younger national teams. It will not be always, but it will be at times. Meaning, the pushback on having Trinidad will be later on. Number two, because how sacred I value relationships with players, I will not use their names publicly. I will not talk if no or yes. Because also we have to lean on bureaucratic processes when it comes to naturalization too. And number two, if they're already up in championship playing, how eligible do you think they're going to be? We play a February qualifier on a non-FIFA day.
So, thank you, Coach Wall. Just to follow up, we understood the reasons why it didn't happen. We were just asking really the the replacement date for that which you have said would be in the international window. We just asked because last year we had a international outside of the FIFA window, a doubleheader against Trinidad, in which you were able to call on some of the players who were in the UK who were playing for the under 20 squads.
Correct.
That is there. And secondly, we weren't asking for the exact names. If you notice, I stayed away from the names. I was just asking if the contact had been made and if any had responded positively.
I would say that the contact's been made. It's been a longer process, so I'm pleased with that and so forth. Players who could be eligible, those outside our attendance, is that they are Premier League 2 players, just as we play UK. When it comes to North America, it's typical players are in MLS 2. Those kind of players that are there. And we're actually having a bigger diaspora when it comes to Germany, Belgium, and Holland too. So you're trying to think locally, but at the same time, what I have to stress that our players here that are good enough that we want to cater and propel and create a pathway. So for me, it doesn't exclude, and for me, it's more about making sure that there's been a due process. The replacement, when I'm talking about January, that is double friendly, what we're looking for, based to be decided exactly, to be fair. And February, the lead up to the tournament has to be utilized as a camp too. So I'm pleased with that, and those kind of circumstances, those three conditions I am.
And quickly to the General Secretary, two topics. The first would be the women's team. Can you explain to the public the exact way in which what exactly occurred that would have led to the overpayment of a number of players from the women's football team, that being in the light of your very detailed explanation about the use of spreadsheets and calculations? How did that overpayment occur, and what will be done to remedy, or what remedy will be done with that overpayment? That's the first question.
It's on like you want us to talk back for the money.
I'm not asking you what the remedy is. In
there was an error in one of the formulas that caused it, and it was picked up. So we know exactly what it was. There's an error in one of the formulas on the spreadsheet, right? But that was just in relation to 9 of them on one of the payments. And then in terms of what we're going to do about it, we're reconciling everything with them. We've sent the details to all of them. So we're reconciling everything, and we will do what we need to do. I don't think it's necessary for us to say that we're going to do X or Y on that.
I'll accept that answer. I'm sure our viewers would. And the reason I ask is not to put the JFM on the spot, is just to assure ourselves that we won't have another fallout if a decision is made one way or the other. The other question relates to the electoral process, and I know you said that is not out of your hands, but there are some matters that are in your hands. And I want to speak specifically to Pillar 3, and specifically to the Referees Association and the Intercollegiate. You had given a deadline of December 20th. For the
Constitution gave a deadline of December 20th.
I looked at the Constitution, didn't say December 20th.
No, it said 1 year from when the Constitution is adopted. It was adopted last year on December 20th. So 1 year from then is when.
Okay.
You got that?
Right, December 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say, how is it that Congress The final Congress prior to the voting, which would accept membership, is on December 16th, 4 days before the deadline, which would in fact, there be no board meeting, cause two of the bodies to not have their membership ratified, approved by the board and ratified, or recommended by the board and ratified by the Congress. It's 4 days before the deadline. Thank you.
No, I can't speak to that because if you read the Constitution also, you'll see that I don't set the Congress or board meeting.
You're on the board though.
No.
Sorry, in your executive capacity.
Yes, I'm an invitee to the board. So I'm invited to the board as an executive, but I'm not on the board. So if you read the Constitution,
Yes, I have.
Okay, what does it say about the setting of meetings?
It's the responsibility of the board, the president of the board.
Okay.
And I'm asking, the president does receive legal advice though.
But I'm not a lawyer either.
If he or she breaches the Constitution.
Yeah, but I'm not a lawyer.
There's a question, Mr. Chung, whose responsibilities is to advise the president and the board if they are making a decision in terms of setting a date that would be in breach of the Constitution. I'll be very quick because I have one question for Mr. Preston.
If they're in breach of the Constitution?
Is it the decision that they are taking would lead to a breach of the Constitution?
All right, so that is the responsibility of number one, anyone who they ask as a lawyer, right? I would give advice on the Constitution and the Electoral Committee also, right? But the setting of it is not anything outside of the responsibility of the board. So I don't understand the question, and I'm trying to understand how a setting of Congress is in breach of the Constitution. What is the Constitution requirement you talk about that's breached?
No, I said the date that was set
Yes.
is prior to the 20th, which would mean that bodies that did not whose submission.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find out. And I'm a little short with this because I think that some of the questions are not well thought out, right? So I'm trying to ask, what is the breach in that?
That 4 days prior to the deadline set in the Constitution.
So what is the breach?
I'll move on because I want to ask a question. I don't want to engage.
No, man, I am asking you a question. No, what is the breach?
I'm not getting the answer.
So how you ask me a question and you can't answer?
No.
All right, we have to get on more, but we want the next question.
Deflection noted. Mr. Preston, you outlined the achievements of the various teams in the 2023, and I acknowledge them and want to certainly congratulate the coaching staff, the technical staff, the technical committee, general team manager, Mr. Simpson, who beat a lot, but they've certainly there's been improvements that we've seen, and we must acknowledge where that is concerned, and certainly improvements in travel arrangements, etc. However, I think it would be remiss if we didn't understand some of the failures that we've had, including the under 17, the non-qualification of the under 17 team, and what differently will be put in place to ensure that we don't have a reoccurrence of that. And I would be on somewhat up with the goal of women's and will rehash that. But the under 17 certainly, what differently put in place, and if I just highlight, for example, the timely naturalization of players who are identified.
That question wouldn't be for Simon though.
Oh, it's because he reported.
Yeah, reported, but in terms of answering, that wouldn't be for Simon. You want to take it, John, or?
Is failing to qualify every single time a failure? That means that media tend to create failure and void and success. It's just the two entities that exist. Sorry, I'm gonna be Mr. Gray. I'm pragmatic. And looking forward because we cannot change the past.
it would be interesting for someone Preston to answer a very technical thing, even though Simon aspires to be able to think about it in the capacity of a media officer, it's not the right one. TDS, I can speak about the TDS, the talent development scheme. Whatever you face up here, it's kind of hard to change what's up here, right in front of your face. You have to do interventions early. What we want to create with the talent development scheme is to actually start to hire more staff in a more full capacity, to have tournaments that lead up to the actual qualifiers, not the tournament alone, to actually globally prepare players what's out there. I'm talking about girls and boys. Main target age groups for the TDS is 14 to 70. Those interventions will happen there. I'm going to outline them. For us, it's about preparing it more on bigger things. Take things on our shoulder, educate players, educate staff about the referees, the coaches. Everything is connected. We cannot single out a single thing, then we're missing the whole point. It's not the single thing that's going to matter, it's the whole thing that matters. Meaning, I would say, I'm going to add political, I'm going to add another pillar, which is finance. We're talking about the pillars of the JFF. I'm going to add the fourth one, which is finance. Yeah. So all of those things have to collaborate. Otherwise, you're not going to get the full thing. And I would love everyone's going to be here in the room when Jamaica can win the World Cup 2034. What are you doing today to prepare us for that? No, you can hold that. Think about it for a while. It's more for you to look at yourself in the mirror and like. Secondly, me, I'm asking myself, what am I doing every day to make that happen? For girls and the boys that will be part of that for the future. That's a simple thing, but so hard. It's a big one, big question.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Garfield Jones, TVJ Sports. Quick question for Coach Wall. Have you identified any talent to the just concluded schoolboy football season that you can tell to develop to be a part of the under-20?
You kind of were a little bit late when I was on a rant, but I can repeat the rant if you want to say.
Sure.
Okay. Globally, Denmark, pretty similar size country. U21s. 21,885 senior professional minutes. Squad value of 29 million euros. U21s. That's October. How do you convert schoolboy football to a global game? You don't really. You have to bring up a magic wand sometimes. It's not really in the context of the global game. That's the hard thing. Yes, there will be some players, but I'm not going to mention them by names. But senior professional minutes is a starting point. JPL is a semi-professional league to the point right now, but I would love it to become a full professional league. We have to strive and improve, but it's more what we can take in and try to recreate it and have more interventions like I did since March. And from that process, filtering down to the final squad. So it's kind of giving as many as we can, but elite, by the word, is not for everyone. It's not. It's a selective few. It is. So, semi-answer to your question, but the best that I can give today.
All right. And as how qualified UEFA scout speaks. All right. So here we go. And before we go any further.
All right, my people. If I laugh. People, listen, but it's bananas and nothing either, man. Bananas and nothing. People, if you so desire, you can call in and give your opinion and what was just said. You understand me? And what was just said. What are some of your takeaways? All right, key points. General Secretary of the GFF praised the progress of growth of all the national teams. That's one of the things he spoke on the possibility of putting together a four-nation tournament. John Wall spoke about the preparation for the U20 championship with domestic based players and spoke on the talent identification process and evaluation which has taken place for the overseas based players. All right. So, people, people, all right. Oh, okay. We have a call. Let me take the call because I don't want to say anything. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. Good afternoon.
Blessings, man. Parish Council in the building. I see my 2 cents come early, you know. I feel like that. So, first thing you want to say, man, I kind of doubt your impact as the team manager for the senior team, you know.
Okay, not a problem.
That's the question if you're actually present because in a year review, I don't hear them make no mention of Omar Stennett.
Which is true, you know, they're not to mention Simon, when they talk about, they give credit to the general manager and Earl Bailey. No Simon or man.
There was no mention of Simon either.
All right, no man, but listen,
because he was there, I said, well, all right, in the attack, so whatever, but there was no accreditation given to you and your impact, whether it be positive or negative, which may assume say positive because the team has tried.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, Parish Council.
When you work on contract management.
No, man. But Parish Council, here's the truth, though. Listen, I don't do this for the credit, man. We let our work speak for ourselves. You understand me?
Yeah, but they put a line credit management. They put a because what am I say? What impact the team?
Yeah, but
I understand.
But you will hear that though. When the truth is that to be fair to the GFF, they always speak about it still, and they speak in a lot of because it was a journalist who mentioned the group, not the president, not the GenSec, because the GenSec never spoke to that still, nor did Mr. Simpson speak to that, or Earl Bailey or John Wall. It was the person who asked the question who started to throw accolades to the technical staff, the coaching staff, and he was very specific. He wanted to give credit to the general manager, Mr. Rice Simpson, which is good. We like that in a Parish Council. Sometimes you have to be the person in the background, and because they know you're important, but I know you have more bigger points than that, man. I can't that you call for pressure me again, my friend.
That's my first thing. When it's a year-end review, the man just need a man.
Yeah, but
big pressure just take place.
Yeah, but you know that Mr. Chung in his year-end review never spoke about the coach or the coaching staff.
But I heard, I guess I never hear, but me hear somebody that get accreditation and then.
No, that was a journalist. Okay. The journalist worked for a channel named Dre Anywhere Sports based in Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. It was that journalist.
Another thing I hear Simon mention about some progression in the under 50 tournament, which we not have no knowledge about that. But I'm sorry, I never paused it a bit because that was earlier in his speech, but he did make mention about one of our under 15 youth team.
Yes.
Making some progress in a tournament, but we can't recall which tournament.
Yeah, man. The under 15 tournament, that was just the last male tournament we played this year. In terms of the junior team, was the under 15 with Fabian Taylor's son and Donald Stewart's son. Remember that team, and the captain, former Campion College captain was there. Peart was the coach, and we finished 4th. Remember that, man? We played Mexico and thing. Just recently. Yeah, it was the first. It's the highest finish I think we have ever had in that tournament, and the first time since in 10 years that we have actually won a game in it.
Okay, I saw like a negative there, but because I remember the incident about the under 15 team that get to travel overseas. So maybe that overshadow that accomplished.
No man, but at this year that happened, man. At this year that happened, you know, your parish council, you know, see you talk about that under 15 team because we were very disappointed that because there was all a player on the left side. Remember, Kai Miles was on it, Gio Taylor.
That's a good one still, as you said. So you know, I'm glad he mentioned it because I have to do some checks on them.
Yeah, man, and I think it is one of the best finishes we have had at that tournament.
Because he mentioned that. That's why I say about we're supposed to take note of the team then.
Yeah, but remember now, a lot of those players now are in the they won the like the JC players are the ones who won the under 16, the Woolmas players, them what's the name of the oh my they had some good footballers on it, man.
Yeah, I'll check on it. We'll do a thing on that. Mr. January now. Man. Mr. January, why?
I hear me go beat now, cause you see now if me tell us the school boy them not ready, where you go say no? Talk to January, make him hear you.
January, is a man. You said it the other day that he was very articulate and you know very focused and what he does, and it's a lot about numbers, right? Because the stats that he came into the press conference with, it never just pop out of mid-year. You can hear that it was deliberate, you know. But I wonder why use Denmark and Uruguay as comparisons.
Population size, similar population to Jamaica. That's what he said. So Uruguay and Jamaica has a similar population.
That's what him say, but in terms of we are call that now, well, all right, come move on from that. But we also have to look into other factors in our management. Everything are down to numbers, you know. We know it's a football to a science game, you know. You understand? But I have to say to him that me like when talk, it sound like him have a plan. Me disappointed that he couldn't at least mention the players who possibly would have made it locally. I don't see what is the secret, but I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, but he did say though, which is what a lot of people have been saying. The truth is, he said the process of naturalization, the process of even a player making a team. He says as a coach, his relationship with players are very important, and he doesn't believe in the idea of putting players' names out there because you don't know what the final outcome would be. And that has to be respected as well. I think sometimes when we begin to put players' names out there and it don't happen, it can have an effect on players and stuff. So sometimes I think even for us as pundits or journalists, and just persons who discuss the game, we have to be careful that we don't just keep on throwing, especially for the younger players, their names out there, because there are people who believe that they are players who. All right, let me give you an example. The goalkeeper that kept for Mona, a lot of people have been saying that he should be in the under-20 team because he's the best U20 goalkeeper in Jamaica. And his performances, to be fair, and his performances from the television games that we have seen, he has not had a good game. Maybe he has got good games for the rest of the season, but in terms of those that have been on television, his performances have not been the best of the goalkeepers we have seen on television.
Yeah, but if you identify a youth player in a management, it don't necessarily have to do with a good game, more so in qualities. Because based on how January sound, a man can have a bad game, but the qualities that the player portray and the pitch would warrant him a place. And you can see that he has qualities. So making the errors fine,
No, well, listen what I'm saying. It's not one game in a parish council. I said, and all the TV games, all I'm saying is that this is not one game. I said that. Listen, I'm not saying that he has not had good games, but what I will say is that the games that have been on television, this keeper from last season has failed to deliver on television. He may have had other games. So if people were to look at his performance from the television games that his team has played, they would say that he's not ready. Because you know that there's a goalkeeper his same age that keeps in the Premier League almost every Sunday, you know.
Yeah, like I say Portmore.
No, man. Bennett. The guy named Bennett at Harborview is young as well. Anthony Bennett.
Yeah.
So
but may I say to January, because you know my stance on the local thing or whatever. Everybody know my stance. But me hear from the coach sound convicted, the coach sound like him already make up his mind what am I gonna do. So yeah, say to him and you and all of the people them who believe that we local players them never can do it. That hope we can formulate an effective team within a reasonable time period that can go out on that pitch and represent Jamaica.
That you and I agree on. You and I agree on
back.
Yeah.
And say, boy, we didn't get enough preparation time and with the easy outlets. Those outlets will not be available to John Wall based on his statements that he made in that press conference.
Right. Let me give you a good example. You see, last season, if a person asks me, I would say Malachi Douglas, the captain for Clarendon College, should have been like in an under-20 team. You see, this season, what I saw of him in schoolboy football, I don't think, this is my opinion, and I rate him as a baller. In fact, again, I tell you this, at the start of the season, I was one of the person who said he should still complete his education so he can go to college, but he should have played for Dunby Holden in the Caribbean Club Championship so that he's playing against better players, bigger opponents that would challenge him more. I believe, and this is just my opinion, I believe that him going back to play schoolboy football, he went backwards because this season he was not the best player in his position at his school or in the Dacosta Cup or overall.
They say who is a part of the decision process, similar to the player that play for Cavaliers, who comes together and decides, okay, this is the way forward. Because you say he as if he's solely responsible for making that decision.
Very good decision. Very good question. So I interviewed a player who was younger than Malachi Douglas, who made a decision not to play his final year, but to go on to college to play more competitive. Watch this. Your parents, you see, when you reach that age, remember, it's not that he does not have subject. It's not that I'm not saying that he should not finish his cape. I am saying that you could still go to school, but play in the JPL, in the Caribbean Club Championship for further experience. Now, if they decide not to call him to the under-20, I would not be upset. But last season, looking at him, he was so impactful that no, I expected him as a senior pro that this guy is going to stamp his class. We speak about here, who are the players people talk about from Clarendon College? Christopher Hull and Kaheem Dixon. He's like third down the line.
Yeah, last year was female.
There you go.
So basically, I said the decision of these players, even the one from Georges, to play for Cavaliers, Burkett to play for Georges, Dumbo Holding, and they say Malachi will also play for Dumbo Holding. It is either the individual or the parents that have the final say.
Yeah, because if you say to your mom, I believe you say to your parents, I've done my stuff already, I want to go to college. I don't think your parents are going to say, no, you can't go to college if the opportunity is there. Because remember, a lot of parents want to make sure that you do your schoolwork. So I am saying go to school and do your schoolwork, but you don't have to play in the schoolboy league.
We can argue as well to say that some of the high school coaches maybe a bit selfish in them, them personal
ambitions.
Gains.
Yeah.
Ambition. Yeah. Them could have easily said to a player, say, boss man, this don't make sense here. You have bigger targets. Similar to what Butler said to Whisper, say, listen, we don't need to do Morning Cup again. Move forward.
Yeah. Listen, if they, if they could pick an all-school team, right? They could pick an all-school, and somebody just made a good point. They said that Malachi Douglas was not motivated. Maybe he was thinking he should have moved on. And maybe that is it, you know.
Why? To me,
hey, people, watch here. Hey, parish council, people, we have to come back later. See, hey, you see, Simon are easy. Simon could have texted me on my phone, you know. You see, people don't see Simon expose me. Simon could have text. This is Simon, you know, people. Parish council, you see this? People don't call out Simon for me. Look what Simon put in at the thing. Wanna see that? Oh, me never know. Hold on there. Let me check. You see what Simon post?
No, I'm not.
Hey, people, yo, never beat Simon. But hey, parish council, I have to run. I understand I have a staff meeting, national staff meeting. So we're gonna run, but we're gonna pick up later.
No, man, run away. Out the contract and see the Simon. We had the money, man. I think I should start.
Yeah.
Oh, you have time back your contract. That's what you're gonna do now. I'm gonna sign the contract.
Oh,
sign up a contract.
So, go ahead, man. I'll make your point.
No,
Simon, you set me up. You see now, Simon. Here the man them say, "Oh, come on, this man say, even a staff, and invited to start." You see now, Simon Preston. You need to come and explain to the people, Simon Preston. Don't do them things, Simon.
I say it's big up to John Wall and never work with him. I work with. So you want to hear me come on the program and beg now bag a local. The coach say one thing and one voice and the coach voice. So from staff, the fans them have to work with him people say otherwise. Not so.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, man. All right, so people, let me run out of this. Jason, big up yourself. You're Coach Rinzi. Coach Rinzi, you see you're fast, you're flying. You see, set up your skill. Pagan, I will be back. So people, listen, I'll be back, right? Let me go and see. What Simon? All right. So people, we go link you back later. I am man. This is I Am Sure Sports. Maybe I'm going over there to get some of the credit in the meeting that get some of the credit that Parish Council was talking about, some live credit. But I am man is bad. This is I Am Sure Sports, and I'll be back with you later. We're gonna have a very special guest, somebody from this meeting. So check that out. All right. Have a good day, and I'll see you in a jiffy. We are over, and we are out of here. Yeah, man. We God, they say. West Indies won the game, people. Bless up to the West Indies.
Boom, check it out. I don't know it's Jason. I'm a represent for I Am Sure Sports. For the latest news and updates, check out I Am Sure Sports. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, subscribe and share. Jason representing I Am Sure. I Am Sure Sports.